I've been thinking, Ira appeared on the porch railing, looking glum as usual. Maybe she buried the book in the grove before she hanged herself. I imagined Corey and me digging one hole after another, fighting roots and rocks with our shovels, sweating in the heat, bitten by gnats and mosquitoes. Not a pretty picture. What makes you think so? Corey asked. Well, she wouldn't leave it in her room, would she? Somebody might find it there. Most likely she reckoned nobody would dig up the grove. Why would they? Caleb sat down next to Ira, swinging his bare feet. Nobody knew there was another book. But it's spooky in the grove. Corey toyed with her fingers, twisting them this way and that as if she wanted to tie them into a knot. Spooky, Seth whispered in her ear. Spooky. Go away. Corey swatted at him as if he were an annoying fly. You get on my nerves. Seth pulled the barrettes out of Corey's hair and laughed as long strands fell in her face. Corey got up so fast the rocker swung wildly back and forth. Quit it, she yelled at Seth. Grandmother heard the noise and came to the door. I've been looking for you two, she said. Her voice was calm but stern, and she had a teacherly gleam in her eye that meant trouble with a capital T. Come inside. I want to talk to you. Seth giggled and made a face. Nah, you're in for it now. Ira grabbed the younger boy's arm. Leave off. The three faded from sight, and Corey and I followed Grandmother into the office. I'm very disappointed in your behavior, she began. Because of your pranks, Miss Baines and Miss Edwards have canceled the rest of their stay here. We didn't do anything to them, I said. It was Seth, Corey added. We told him not to, but... Seth? Grandmother stared at Corey. Please don't tell me he's one of your ghosts. But he is, Corey insisted. He's the worst one of all. Corey, I simply can't believe this. Grandmother turned to me. Travis, tell me the truth. Why did you let a mouse loose in the dining room last night? And why did you booby-trap room 7? What on earth do you have against those two women? Corey's not lying, I said. It was Seth. Seth. Grandmother drummed her fingers on her desktop. Seth. Yes'm. Seth came as if in answer to his name. What is it you want? He drummed on the desk, too. Grandmother jerked her hands back, but the drumming went on. She looked right through Seth at Corey and me. We held up our hands to show her we couldn't be, responsible. Thanks to the Shadow Children, the sound got much louder. Stop making that noise! Grandmother raised her voice to be heard above the drummings. She was plainly frightened, but trying hard not to be. It's not us, I said. It's Seth, Corey said, and the others. I'm going to call your parents right now and tell them to come and get you, Grandmother shouted. I cannot allow you to destroy the inn's reputation, not to mention my sanity. As she reached for the phone, Seth picked up an eraser and threw it across the room, followed by handfuls of pens and pencils. A stapler rose into the air and floated a few inches from Grandmother's nose. The printer churned out a stream of blank paper, the computer flickered on and off, and the radio suddenly changed from classical music to loud rock. Doors and windows opened and shut with loud bangs, and a swivel chair spun as it rolled around the room, banging into walls. Grandmother just sat there, watching the office dim and brighten as the Shadow Children filled the air with a blizzard of spinning paper clips and thumbtacks. It's true, she whispered. The inn really is haunted. Everything I believed is wrong. With that, she put her head down on her folded arms and closed her eyes. Now look what you've done, Corey yelled. You've upset Grandmother. The Shadow Children giggled and retreated, but Seth plopped right down on the edge of the grandmother's desk. Regarding her sadly, he touched her hair. Grandmother shuddered and looked up. You must be Seth. Her voice was weak, but she seemed to be back in control. You can see me now. He looked pleased. Yes. That's 'cause you believe in me. He grinned. Sorry I had to scare you into it. You was a hard nut to crack. Ira and Caleb peered on either side of Seth. Sorry, ma'am, Caleb said, but we couldn't let you send Corey and Travis away. We need them to help us, you see, Ira added. Even though they're none too smart, Seth put in. But we ain't found nobody else. Most folks just run off like them silly old ladies. Or they try to trap us with machines of one sort or another, Ira said. Cameras and the like. Those psychos got no business messing with us, Seth said. If you wanted our pictures took, we'd pose. Psychics, Caleb corrected him. That's what they call themselves nowadays. Grandmother just sat there staring at the boys as if she was too stunned to say a word. Finally, she said, "What do you want my grandchildren to do?" "Just 3 things, Caleb told her. "Truth to tell," Seth piped up, "they's a hard 3 things." "First, they have to find Miss Ada's secret account book," Caleb went on, "the one that has the names of the dead who are buried here." "Then they have to mark the graves with proper stones," Ira said, "the kind with names, not numbers wrote on them." "And last, they got to exorcise Miss Ada," Seth said. "Exorcise," Corey said. Seth frowned. "That's what I said." "No, you didn't." Corey said, I gave her a little sideways kick. "Drop it." "Yeah," Seth said. "Drop it, or I'll drop you." "Stop squabbling," Grandmother said, as if she were in a 4th grade classroom. With a sigh, she leaned back in her chair. She looked very tired. "I don't understand any of this," she said. "Well, explain it to you," I said. Grandmother closed her eyes. "I'm listening." Helped here and there by the bad ones, Corey and I told Grandmother everything we knew about the poor farm, Miss Ada Jaggs and her brother Cornelius, the burial ground, the secret account book, and so on. By the time we were done, it was almost 5 o'clock. Wearily, Grandmother got to her feet. "I don't know what to think," she murmured. "I just don't know." Mrs. Brewster chose that moment to appear in the doorway. "Time for dinner," she said, and then gasped when she noticed the mess the bad ones had made. "It's them again, ain't it?" Without hesitating, she plunged her hand into our particularly dark corner and hauled Seth out by his shirt front. "Naughty boy," she said. "Why can't you stay where you belong and stop causing trouble?" Seth squirmed and wriggled, but he couldn't break away from her. "Let me go, Aunt Martha," he yelled. "I don't need you looking after me. I can take care of my own self." While we stared at her, Mrs. Brewster shrugged. "You might say me and Henry inherited this here boy. He's my great-great-great-grandfather's nephew. The care of him's been passed down from generation to generation. We try to protect him, like his mama wished, but he sleeps light. Don't take much to wake him up." Without releasing the struggling Seth, she gave Corey and me a dark look. "You and your thoughtless ghost games," she muttered. "This here boy is suffering on the account of you. Why didn't you leave him be?" "Don't go blaming them," Seth said. "They didn't know no better." "You know who's to blame, Mrs. Brewster," Caleb said, "but you're scared to face her." With the final jerk, Seth pulled away from Mrs. Brewster. Shielding himself with Caleb, he stuck out his tongue. "I don't need no aunties looking after me." Then they were gone. "So you knew all about this, Martha?" Grandmother asked. "Small chance you'd have believed me, even if I told you." "Too true," Grandmother sighed. "I used to believe the dead rested in peace. After my husband died, it was a consolation of sorts." She turned her head and looked out the window. "Fear no more the heat o' the sun," she murmured, "nor the furious winter's rages." The bad ones had quoted the same lines. Like them, like Corey and me, Grandmother was learning there might be plenty to fear after death. "Most do rest in peace," Mrs. Brewster said softly. "Live a good life and die a good death. That's all you got to do, those 2 things. She rubbed her hands together and added, "I came to tell you dinner is served." With that, she strode out of the office. "Live a good life and die a good death," Grandmother said. If only it were that simple. After we'd finished eating the best steak I'd ever sunk my teeth into, the inn's only guest stopped at our table. "Did Miss Baines and Miss Edwards leave early?" Mrs. Kowalski asked. "We'd planned an afternoon at Lake Bomoseen tomorrow." "Unfortunately, they had a change of plans," Grandmother said. "It would have been nice if they told us." Mrs. Kowalski patted her frosted hair, showing off her perfectly polished nails. "George and I were looking forward to getting to know them better. Such dears." Grandmother regarded the woman over the rim of her coffee cup. "They left in a hurry." "Oh, dear," Mrs. Kowalski pressed a stray hand of hair more firmly into place. "It wasn't an emergency, was it?" "I don't think so." Grandmother set her cup in its saucer. Clink. Mrs. Kowalski lingered a moment. When it became clear that Grandmother wasn't going to tell her anything else, she said, I guess George and I will drive down to Beaumosin without her. With her husband trailing behind like a dog trained to heel, Mrs. Kowalski headed for the porch and the rocking chairs. Grandmother looked at Corey and me. I can't believe I'm saying this, she said with a sigh, but something must be done about the ghosts. We've completely booked up next week. I can't afford to lose my guests. Mrs. Brewster appeared at Grandmother's elbow. More coffee? Yes, please, Grandmother said. And do join us, Martha. I need all the help I can get with this ghost business. Almost on cue, the light dimmed slightly as the shadow children filled the corners. Caleb, Ira, and Seth pulled extra chairs over and sat down, their faces hopeful. I wish I could have some of that there coffee, Seth sniffed so deeply his nose wrinkled. It sure smells good. Coffee's not for boys, Grandmother said. When you grow up, you can drink all you want. Grow up? Seth stared at Grandmother. When do you think I'll do that, Granny? Grandmother actually blushed. I'm sorry, she said. I wasn't thinking. She poured a cup from Mrs. Brewster's pot and held it toward him. Seth didn't take it. I reckon you forgot I'm dead and I can't drink nothing, nor can I eat. Oh, dear. Grandmother's face turned even redder. Seth touched her hand. It's all right, Granny. It's plain ye ain't used to dining with the likes of us. Mrs. Brewster leaned toward Seth. We've got important matters to discuss, so sit still and be quiet or I'll call Henry. He'll fix your wagon. Uncle Henry can't do nothing to me. But Seth sat back in his chair and folded his hands in his lap, the very model of a good boy. Grandmother turned to Martha. The boys here say they want 3 things done. First, Miss Ada's account book must be found. It contains the names of the people buried here. With it, we can match the numbers on the grave markers with the names of the dead. Mrs. Brewster nodded. She kept 2 books, but the one you want, the true one, was never found. Me and Henry have looked, and so have all our kin before us. We'll find it. Grandmother looked at Corey and me as if she expected us to solve the problem by pulling the book out of thin air. Secondly, she went on, we must erect proper headstones for the graves. It would comfort the poor souls, Mrs. Brewster said with another nod, to know they've never been forgot. And thirdly, Grandmother hesitated as she dreaded saying the last one. Thirdly, Miss Ada must be exorcised. Mr. Brewster spoke up from the doorway. She won't go willingly, not that one. The shadow children twittered like scared baby birds, and all 3 bad ones folded their arms tightly across her chests and looked grimmed. She's got to go, Caleb said, or there'll be no peace for us, or you either. What can we do? Grandmother asked. You can't do anything, Ira said in his deepest and most serious voice. The one who started this must be the ones who finish it. Corey grabbed my hand and stared at the bad ones. Do you mean us? Granny wasn't the one flitting around the grove in her nightie, Seth said, nor was Aunt Martha. If I recall rightly, Caleb put in, it was you, Corey, with Travis helping. Grandmother frowned at us. I always suspected it was you two. Me and Henry knew all along, Mrs. Brewster said. They're a pair of bad ones themselves, full of sass and mischief, just like Seth here. I bit my lip to keep from grinning. There was no denying it. We were bad ones, always in trouble, but not wicked. Like to like, the lovely bad ones, Corey and me and Seth, Caleb and Ira. I glanced at Corey but failed to catch her eye. She sat beside Grandmother, playing with the strand of her hair, thinking her own thoughts. Even if this is Corey and Travis's fault, Grandmother said, I can't allow them to endanger themselves. Good or bad or just plain mischievous, they're my grandchildren. I'm responsible for their well-being, and I love them. I agree with Caleb, Mr. Brewster said. Your grandchildren got us into this mess. It's only fair they get us out of it. After all, Mrs. Brewster put in, Miss Ada can't kill them or hurt them. The worst she can do is scare them. But how can we get rid of her? Corey whispered. And how do you know she can't hurt us? I wondered. After the first 2 things are done, Caleb said, we'll come up with a way to send Miss Ada wherever she must go next. I hoped Caleb was right, but for now, I didn't want to think about facing Miss Ada, not with darkness coming on.